Hello and welcome to the video. It was announced on the 30th of October via news outlets in the UK that the Office for Rail and Road, which is the UK's rail regulator, has approved an application for Richard Branson's train company, Virgin Trains, to use Temple Mills Depot in Leighton, London, for maintenance and storing of their trains. This is said to be a key step forward in the company's plans to challenge Eurostar for services which run from London St Pancras to Europe via the Channel Tunnel. Sir Richard himself has stated since the announcement it will allow them the opportunity to disrupt the monopoly held by Eurostar for this service, something they have had since the Channel Tunnel opened originally in 1994. Temple Mills is crucial because it is the only depot that can be accessed from High Speed 1, which is the line that runs between London and the Channel Tunnel, and this would allow them the lighting maintenance facilities required to run an international service to mainland Europe. Virgin, however, will still need to secure additional regulatory approvals, which would cover things like access to the tunnel itself and safe operations. This hasn't stopped Virgin and Sir Richard from being on site at St Pancras on the 30th of October, the day of the announcement from the regulators, doing interviews about their future plans with the latest news and even putting up clever marketing around the station itself, which clearly is a warning shot at Eurostar that Virgin is coming for their business and they'll no longer have this monopoly soon on that service. This is also not the first time that Virgin has operated trains in the UK, as previously Virgin Trains originally existed as a domestic service, mostly on the West Coast Main Line, which would stretch between London, West Midlands, North West of England, North Wales and Southern Scotland. Virgin operated this service from March 1997 to December 2019, as upon the expiry of the contract in 2020, Virgin did not contest losing the contract and thus ending the service slightly earlier in December the year prior. At one point, Virgin Group had agreed a deal to take a minority share in the Bright Line train service, now in operation within Florida in the US, including services from and to Orlando International Airport, and this would have provided them with the rights to rebrand the service to Virgin Trains USA. But this deal fell apart in August 2020. However, as recent as June 2025, the CFO of Brightline, Jeff Swiatek, stated they are exploring selling the naming rights, so maybe we could see Virgin branding on the service finally materialise in the future. Therefore, Virgin as a brand is certainly not new into the train operating business, but this will be the first time they operate on such a route for UK customers if they gain the necessary approvals from regulators. The hope from Virgin is that all this will be approved and in place for them to start operating services from London to Brussels, Amsterdam and Paris in 2030, using same stations in those cities as Eurostar operates today. However, it was also mentioned as part of this announcement from Virgin that they hope in time they could resume the direct service from London St Pancras into Disneyland Paris Resort via the on-site train station Marne-Laval in Chessy. Eurostar operated a direct service like this for many years but discontinued it in June 2023, now leaving for families to find an alternative route to get to the Disneyland Resort, especially if they still wanted to go by a train. They would have to now change at either Lille Europe station or at Paris's Gare du Nord station. Here you go, guys. My thoughts on this news that came out. Firstly, it's clearly very exciting for us in the UK who love visiting Disney and especially Disneyland Paris Resort. Hopefully it will bring back a direct service to the resort. That would be absolutely brilliant. It will be interesting to see if off the back of this Eurostar actually now reevaluates its position on this direct service, and possibly before Virgin can bring in theirs, could they potentially see about bringing back Eurostar's direct service to the Disneyland Paris Resort to try and get ahead of Richard Branson's company and their moves in the future. No date was given for when the service could return with Virgin, other than it was stated it would be a limited service. So to me, that sounds like it's very much not going to be available all year round, and I would suggest only likely to be on school holidays and commonly busier times of the year. Eurostar themselves, I feel there is more demand for this travel. They're beginning to realise that, because as well as this announcement, only a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they will be bringing in the UK's first double-decker trains to operate on their international services in the near future from London to Europe. So it'll also be great to see that there'll be a bit of competition for Eurostar on this service, as it will lead to hopefully lower prices and better service. Like with all things, having no competition makes companies get complacent, and also means they can charge whatever they want. And if families like us, who will be travelling to Disneyland Paris next week, want to go for the preferred, easier way, in my opinion, of getting to Disneyland, as opposed to just driving there or taking a flight, using a train and going straight as well into the resort, but anywhere also in Europe that they offer, so like Amsterdam and Paris, they can charge what they like, and families would just have to pay it because there's no alternative option. So Richard himself has also stated that he hopes the move would also bring better prices for families in the future who want to travel to mainland Europe via the UK with train. So that's also exciting to see. He certainly thinks this move will also do that. So of course that's as much as we know so far. Of course, if there's any major developments do occur, we'll cover it again here on the channel, especially if it's anything that's affecting a direct UK service to the Disneyland Paris resort. But in the meantime, let us know in the comments your thoughts about this news that's come out in recent days. If you live in the UK or you're coming over to the UK from another country, would you be more enticed to go to the Disneyland Paris resort from the UK if there is a return to a direct service from London, whether it's brought back from Virgin or potentially Eurostar bringing this back as a response to this announcement this week? And also, have you been put off going to the Disneyland Paris resort because of the removal of a direct service in the UK to the resort that happened in 2023? And will this make you now start to reconsider looking to use the train service again to get there in the future? Like I say, let us know in the comments. And as always, please like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Plenty more to come, including vlogs from each of our days for our trip next week to Disneyland Paris. Hit that notification bell too, so you'll never miss a video when we upload it. And with all that being said, I have one last thing to say to you guys. Go out there and live life the smart way. Catch you guys in the next one. See ya.